So welcome everybody to our February 2nd Sunday, and thank you to Clark for being here, our featured teacher. Clark has been working really hard on this artist scientist residency program with LASP, which he's going to tell us all about. And there's a gallery exhibit here with Clark's work that he's been shadowing different scientists and writing poems. How cool and amazing. We should all go and we should look at the exhibit before we leave here. But anyway, here's the whole spiel. We are Beyond Academia Free School, a 100% free to the public performance and poetic art education school, and it's free. Welcome. All right, maybe we should go around and say our names real quick so everyone can get acquainted. Yeah.
Sure. I'm Mary Kate.
Hi, Mary Kate.
Hi, Mary Kate.
Hi.
Tina Trout.
Tina is amazing. Tina has a beautiful permaculture garden with goats, and we did a BAFS event called Pumpkin Poets in Fort Collins at Lala Gardens. It was a punketry. It was an all-day poetry workshop festival, and there was this delicious soup. It was just so lovely, and I'm so happy you're here today, Tina. Thanks for coming to see us.
How do we find out about those events?
I don't have them anymore. I live in a bus now.
Yeah, Tina's Tina with the go-goats.
You live in a what?
A bus.
How poetic.
How poetic.
With goats.
I
The
am
go-goats.
gaining character as we speak.
What a throwback to this.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nico.
Hi, Nico.
Hi, Nico.
I'm Clark.
Hi, Clark. I'm Poet Val.
And I'm Yohanan. And I should say I am playing at the Mercury Cafe tonight, as I do just about every Sunday.
And from 6 to 7:45.
6 to 7:45, 7:50, poem time. Come on in.
And it's with the band.
Art, compost, and the word mechanics.
Jam before the slam, yeah.
Jam before the slam.
Jam before the slam.
That's right, you've been there, haven't you, Nico?
And poets can get up there and read, and the music plays behind them.
You don't even need to sign it.
You don't sign up. It's really
Yeah,
amazing.
we just start calling from the audience, and your name is?
Virginia.
Virginia.
We got the V thing.
Yeah, that's right. Valerie, Victoria, Virginia,
All of
Vanessa.
these.
Thanks everyone for coming. It's really cool I'm really glad that Maggie invited me to teach this class because I really wasn't making much art. I studied art in school, but it was really through connecting with the Boulder poetry scene and BAFS and coming to these workshops about a year ago that I really kind of started getting back into it and just developing my craft more, and which led to doing this whole residency. So I've basically been a full-time artist for the last 5 months, which is really cool. And yeah, so I definitely have a lot of gratitude and appreciation for this community, and been kind of in my little cave making work the last couple months, but it's cool to come back and kind of maybe share some of the things I've learned or insights from this time. So yeah, as Maggie mentioned, I've done this residency. It's the lab is atmospheric and space physics. So they've designed scientific instruments that have been to every planet in the solar system.
Wow.
So they've been around longer than NASA. They're a really internationally known it's one of the
Big
space
deal.
labs in the world.
What do you mean they've been to every planet in
This
the
is
solar system?
NCAR?
LASP
LASP.
Oh,
Which is funny because a lot of people don't even know about them.
Yeah.
But Ball Aerospace is a spin-off from this lab. And yeah, they build these either instruments or sometimes full spacecraft that go to Mars or Neptune. There's one that goes to the sun, into the atmosphere of the sun.
Wow. And just send
And
out
I'm thinking my
texts.
brother-in-law probably had a hand in several of those, because he worked at Ball Aerospace. He is now working for JPL NASA in Los Angeles. His specialty is interferometry.
Cool.
So yeah, his name is Charlie Necker, Noecker.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the people in your lab probably know him.
So
I'm
they
sure.
don't do like
Small
round
world.
trips. They go in there and probably burn up in the atmosphere, but they send data back.
Yeah, usually. I mean, they do design some that do round trips, but those are usually, those kinds of missions, they aren't building the spacecraft. They might have a single instrument that goes on it, but most of their stuff is, with their big specialties are ultraviolet sensing and dust, which is incredible how much you can learn from a single speck of dust, right? You can analyze all of its contents, see if there's life, like, organic matter in the dust, like, just, I mean, I could do this whole entire time on the science, so I'm not gonna go that direction, because I really wanna, like,
What'd you say the other thing was? The two main things they do is dust and
UV,
Ultraviolet.
ultraviolet light, yeah, are the big things. So yeah, I mean, I got to just meet a bunch of really interesting people and tour the lab and all of that. But kind of what I want to focus on for this workshop was the poetry. I did a lot of visual art, but I also did some poetry with them. So we had fourth graders come to the lab to do like art and science in a day. So it was really cool because we were presenting to kids art and science together, which I feel like are often taught as being separate, like in education systems. And so I did that, but I also led, I kind of co-opted a presentation I was supposed to give to the scientists and made it into a poetry workshop, and like basically just forced them to write poetry like on the spot. I mean, it was poetry, right? But it was really cool, and I fused those together to make some really interesting poetry, which the responses of the fourth graders and the expert scientists, which just seems kind of like the most legendary writing combination, right? It's like experts and like complete, people who don't really know anything.
And it's wild because kids are such natural scientists, and like watching how kids will reason and kind of have their inquiry process, it's like very much aligned in a way. Just like they're not thinking, oh, this is my hypothesis, they're just doing it, but it's really fascinating. It's like the experienced scientists and the like natural scientists.
Yeah. So I don't want to like talk too much. So I mean, I'd be curious just to go around and see like what people, how people think that science affects, how they see it relating to their own artwork, or if you feel like it's kind of peripheral, how do you see art and science relating to like contemporary culture right now, or how they're viewed? I know some of you probably have a lot of thoughts about it, some of you probably don't have much, but
One concept, AI.
And that's actually, it's kind of fascinating, right? Because like AI it's been learning all of this information, and now like what's different is all these search engines have been getting all this information, and now the new AI is able to kind of like connect new pieces of information to form new ideas. And it's like that's what scientists are doing, is they're connecting. That's what kids are doing. They're connecting new pieces of information, and poets are doing, right? Connecting new pieces of information to form new ideas and concepts.
That's what we've done throughout history.
Yeah. So anyway, I'd say it's very ingrained in a way, I feel like, in my process, just because when we live in a material world, and like a material world is like we understand it usually through science, but we understand what we haven't yet discovered through science, through like poetry and arts. And religion. And faith-based practices almost, right? Things that
Yes.
And there seems to be like a lot of science. I mean, immediately my mind goes to the 3-4 principle for a painting, and diagrams of perspective, those long, and then there's some kind of scientific explanation for why it works aesthetically. And then also looking at how there are certain rules, like if you think about in storytelling, that haven't changed, right? Like rules that go back to the Greeks that are still used today in like Hollywood movies or whatever, and it's like the basic. This feels like science has this
They probably go back
place
to
in
cave
art,
fires.
but it's hard to. And then when you think about what is art's place in science, it makes me think about the creative mind being really helpful to the scientist. And like some quotes I've heard of Einstein's, like I can't remember what, but how you know, it's basically the gist is like it's the creativity that gets you there kind of more than
Yeah, the curiosity and just
Curiosity,
drive,
yes.
focus,
Right.
passion.
I know in my work I tend to throw facts in every once in a while. And I don't think of science as, I do object to calling facts science. You know, people will say, well, the science says, and I'm like, no, this data says. Science is or the observation says, or, you know, but science to me is a method and somewhat of a belief system in that, and also often exalted in our culture, getting to the culture. So if you can't prove it by this method with these rules, well, then it just doesn't exist, or it doesn't happen, or we just say, oh, we don't know. Therefore, it's not valid, that validation part of science. So I do tend to put little, I mean, I Google a lot. I was laughing the other day because I was Googling about the windpipe and the esophagus because I was writing a poem about this space right here in our bodies, and I wanted to get more anatomical and factual about it. So.
And it's interesting how if you look at the history of science, we've been wrong until we figured something out.
Right.
So all along the way, it's like leeches,
Right.
a woman's bleeding, lock her in a dark room,
Right.
The world is flat. And yet we still speak of science as if it's the final word on things.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so weird.
People use magical language to talk about science, but those people who use that language are not scientists.
Interesting.
I think a lot about the places where art and science intersect, like when you start to look at quantum physics and how things are really, they appear to be solid, but actually there's spaces between everything, and you know, that puts you into this kind of a mystical space when you really get down into it. Or you know, you look at maybe the science of optics and like how the eye works and how it's really just a lens like a camera is, and I think a lot about the role that artists play in sort of moving things forward with science. You know, as you know, people will wonder about things, they will be painted, and then on some other level, someone will go in and try to figure out what's going on. I think space is a great example of that, where, you know, if you look at the ancient Aztecs or the Incans, they had all these stories about the sky, and then we've just been progressively getting closer to try to understand what's a star, how they're aligned, gravitational forces. So I think there's so much room for both, and you know, especially when it comes to things like technology and how you can build tools to allow people to be more creative and artistic, or at least in a different way.
That's so interesting. Like the idea that artists helped bring scientific concepts to all of us that I never thought about. That's really interesting.
It's really interesting, you know, just with this residency, and I know there was recently one that Maggie shared as well. There was an InStar, it was about Arctic research, and they had an artist residence program. And I think the real challenge with these, though, is to not just view the art as a tool to communicate the science, right? Because I think that's sort of, right, it's sort of like, oh, well, we want to bring the artist to make it look pretty and make people excited about it, right? Which is like, maybe that's part of it, but I think what I tried to bring to it, the residency, and I think that it was great because they allowed the freedom to really make art for art's sake. But getting back to what Virginia said, I think art can be a way of, you know, a knowledge sphere and a way of understanding the world in its own right, in addition to science, and to be in a space where you can do artistic thinking about science, not just make art that's expressing what the science says. But like, no, I'm going to enter into the same domain that you're doing science on, and I'm going to just like bring my art mind to it and just whatever that. Like that's what I did. And I was like, I don't like. I don't need to like take what you're doing and make it pretty. I just want to like get into your realm and then like just see what comes out, you know, which is really cool.
I have a few thoughts. One is I was trying to think of this quote. I don't know where it came from, but it says that scientific theories can never be proven, only disproven. Which I think is kind of interesting. But when you speak about art and science, I kind of light up around poetic art because it's such a cross of philosophy, science, subjective reality, life experience, shamanic experience, depending on who you are, and spiritual experience. That it makes sense to me that it's the one true art form. I want to say without limit, although it seems more limited in some ways, but that can hold and connect it all in a way more efficient than graphic art.
What, poetry you're saying?
I'm thinking writing in general, poetic writing, yeah.
Really more than music?
In some ways.
Well, directly in the
ways.
space of ideas, right? Which is like the language of science. I mean, maybe numbers, right? But you know, we use words to talk about scientific discoveries. To just to work directly with those concepts themselves in a poetic way is like really powerful.
But if you think of a theory or something, or a fact or a reality, how do you keep exploding it, into something deeper and deeper and deeper and more real? And I think poetry can really directly access that and make it available more than music.
Yeah.
I would have to expand the concept of music on that. But, I am a musician, and I'm familiar with a number of recent composers who definitely brought scientific concepts into their music. For example, one of my favorite composers is named Edgar Varese, and several of his pieces were called, well, one of his pieces was called Ionization. And, he was trying to, and I think he did a good job of expressing the concept of, atoms combining and recombining. And the piece is written for 13 percussion players. It's all percussion. And it is a fascinating piece to this day. It was written in, I think, 1931, but it sounds like it could have been written yesterday.
Wow.
Ionization.
All right, drum piece.
I was just thinking too, as we were talking about this, about how it's interesting that in the field of all the things that we might know, science has nailed down some, portion of that. And yet the way that we talk about science, well, it's just like these are the things that have a check mark next to them that have been sort of accepted as real, and everything else is just mystery. And there's if you try to talk about stuff that's out there that's true because we can observe it or experience it, but it's not within this category of science that's been approved or something, then
We're wackos for talking about it.
you're not really allowed to even, it's not real until it's gone. Anyway.
Peer reviewed.
My understanding, right? We make art to understand, and we write poetry about things just out of an inclination to understand it. And I think that's also kind of like you are drawn to science, is to try to understand something.
And another thing I think a lot of us don't, that there isn't a lot of talk about, is that the things that have made it through that have been things that people or organizations with money have wanted to know, wanted to find out. It had to be, backed by financing to get it to be proven. So
Yeah, there's plenty of incredible things that could be proven that aren't because
Hey,
there's
you
no
look
money
like
in
you
it.
might be 15 today. Is that
Hey.
true?
Happy birthday!
Birthday
to you.
Oh no!
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
birthday,
dear
Rick. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, and after you are thoroughly embarrassed.
I want to say
Well,
something
sorry to
else
steal the
about
show.
this.
Better bring it back.
There we
I want
go.
to throw something else in on this conversation, that one of my favorite approaches to poetry is the saying that if you know where your poem's going, start there. If you know your last line, start at that last line. Because you want to be, and that's like science in a way too. Start with the point, the jumping off into what you don't know, start with your absolute conclusion and then jump into the unknown.
Like, this is what I know, okay, and so then the inquiry begins. Like, all right, I have this
Then
information.
you let the poem start to teach you.
I've
something.
heard a similar thing from a guy that runs a lot of writing workshops. He says, if you're going to tell a story, start much later than you were planning to start.
But this is
Like
like.
further into it. But yeah, you're
end
saying
with
go
your
for the bullseye.
conclusion, Your
Yeah.
last line, and then go into the mystery.
Yeah.
And rather than working towards your conclusion, start at that conclusion and then jump off the point.
Which is kind of like science,
Yeah,
right? It's-
yeah, that's what
Because
I
you have
was
a
thinking. It's-
hypothesis and then you
Right.
back up and say,
Yeah.
yeah.
I also.
Can I prove this?
We're talking
or-
about art and science
Yeah.
and
Sweet. I love it.
I also have a friend who was hired and got to do her residency, a couple of residencies, a couple years at CERN. Yeah, working
The
with those.
European laboratory with the big video accelerator.
Yeah, the accelerator and
Very
working
zoomed in, just so you know.
alongside
I personally
them
would feel like
and
uncomfortable like doing this.
writing, creating a book of
It's like
a
zoomed in.
poem, a fourth dimension poem. She showed me how to draw the fourth dimensional poem too. But she wrote a fourth dimensional poem at CERN.
Cool.
Yeah, and was hired there and to study, to know physics into poetry.
And when was this?
I want to see
The
this
last
poem.
couple of years, probably finished that poem like 2 years ago. Her name is Amy Catanzano.
Amy
Brilliant.
Catanzaro.
I'll look up her
Interesting.
name.
All right, so it seems like, yeah, it's kind of like a lot of history
She
too, like looking
hangs
into
out
all
with-
these like different ways that this has been happening.
Yeah.
Cool.
She
Yeah,
comes up, yeah.
You all brought up some really
Captain.
great points, and I'm sure we could talk about just free thinking about art and science this whole time.
Let me just spell his name while we're, oh no, that's not it. Okay, sorry.
But I'd like to talk a little bit more specifically about this style of writing poems that I use to make the ones that are in the gallery, and it kind of relates to a lot of what's been brought up, because basically the prompt that I gave the kids, which I'm actually going to ask us all to do right now, well, I'll introduce it and then we'll do it, but basically I gave them a worksheet that had the start of 3 sentences. The earth is, you can just go ahead and write these down and give yourself some space. But the idea is, I told them, try to keep it short, maybe like at most 10 words after that. It's like you're writing one sentence, it could be one word after the earth is. The earth is big, the earth is round. And then you come back to that later. So the first time for the school kids, I gave them no context. It was the control. What is the earth? Write a sentence. And then the second time, I asked them to write a metaphor. What is the earth metaphorically?
what is the earth?
The earth is a metaphor,
The-
for earth?
The metaphor line should also start with the earth is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just introducing the concept. We're
Yeah.
not going to write quite just
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
Yeah, so the same line. And then with the scientists, I just gave them a pop quiz and passed out all these worksheets. and for the same, they were paired the same way, and I said, give me a literal definition for what the Earth is, scientifically. And then at the end of my presentation, I said, okay, now give me a metaphor for what you think the Earth is.
Nice.
And I did that for the Earth, space, and sun. So at the end, I had these worksheets from 40 scientists and 25 fourth graders, and I just sat down with, got rid of the Earth is from all of them, and I just had the endings, and just sat at my computer and wrote a poem, which I'm going to read. And I pretty much, I would take a phrase from different parts of a sentence and mix up the order, but it's pretty much just exactly what they wrote. Home planet, ball of rock orbiting the sun, just right here, right now. Just another planet, composed primarily of rocky minerals with a core, mantle, and crust. The only known home of life and humanity. The only known habitable planet in the universe. A speck in the cosmos. A grain of sand in a sandbox. A beautiful place full of life and death. Round and colorful and full of life. Beautiful, so beautiful. Life and death and light. The earth is the beauty of life. Cloud, rock, oxygen, humans, and satellites. Round, green, and blue. Blue, white, brown, and green. Wet, cool, cold. Hot, warm, and rocky. Living, breathing, and changing. All the time. Constantly changing. Full of life, with plants and animals, floating in space. As far as we know, there is no other life out there. The earth is home, all we have. Our treasure, our jewel, our responsibility, and our joy. Our spacecraft to survive in space. Our house in the stars. Everything we need to live. A planet with over 7 billion humans on it, a mother to all of us, but we are killing her. Everyone lives here. It does not separate us into groups. We do that. A place of dimension and interconnection. Home. Where my friends and family live. My home, my history, my future. Our home, our unique home, our only home. A safe place for life. A unique blue marble. A pale blue dot, full of life. The most amazing and only known habitable planet in the universe. My home, the reason I breathe. All I can touch. A speck of dust in an infinite universe. Everything and nothing. A locus of consciousness. Blue-green algae evolved beyond imagination. Earth is the beauty of life. Home. Everything and nothing. The only known life raft in infinity. Home. So, and that was what they wrote, So I think it's a really cool way of writing poetry that I want to share, and I also was really curious to see what it would be like to do it with a totally different group of people, say a group of poets. And it's sort of, you have license to write your own lines or change words around or whatever, but it's kind of like a superpowered word bank. I know sometimes people will create a list of words and then try to put them in a poem, but like, what about creating a list of lines from a group of 12 people and then writing poems based off of that. So I'd like to welcome our new arrivals.
Thank you. Welcome to we ended up from Denver. Oh, really?
Good to see you.
Likewise.
Yes, so that poem, right, yeah, it was all written by asking these certain questions to scientists and then asking these certain questions to kids and then taking the results from those, like how they defined Earth, both like as like in metaphor as well as the definition from the scientists, as well as just, I guess what it was more just one thing for the fourth graders, right? It was just Earth
All
is.
right. That definitely makes a lot more sense now. Like walking into the middle of it, I was like, oh,
What is happening?
Well, and what's interesting is that people didn't, it was actually really hard for them to be literal, I think. When you ask a scientist, what is the Earth? No one wants to say it's a rocky planet orbiting the sun.
Yeah.
They all want to write a metaphor.
yeah.
I mean, come on. But at the other hand, what I originally was going to call this class was literal metaphors. Because I think it's like, to say what it literally is so profound that it is a metaphor without, without needing to, distance it from the literal reality. And sometimes metaphors are literal in another sense, because that's the only way that we can really understand the impossibility of the world we actually live in, as a metaphor.
Yeah.
So with that, I think I want us to stop talking and start writing. If anyone has thoughts actually they want to share before we jump in, I would love to hear them.
Are you using the same prompt?
So
Should we-
I think how we want to do this. I think for now, what I want to do is everybody, maybe we should do these on paper. Basically, I want us all to do the same thing, and then I want to collect all of them, and I was, yeah, I think that would work. And then I'm going to probably just, maybe we can all just read them, and I'll do voice to text, and we can put it on a Google Doc, because then I want us to all try to write a poem based off of what we all generate. So let's just do, maybe just do one line so 3 sentences basically. So the Earth is, the sun is, and then space is. And then we're gonna,
Repeat those?
Huh?
Repeat those?
So yeah, the Earth is, the sun is, and then space is.
I'd be glad to do that.
And you wanted them to be
Those
literal or not?
Any more papers?
Doesn't matter.
I want them to be literal metaphors.
Stack.
Sorry.
So we're not doing both. We're not
So just do one, just do one.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you can write 2. You can double them up if you want.
It's got one. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Here's my, I need another one.
I'm leaving early too, so, yeah.
I would write, you're writing 3 lines basically, 1 for each, yeah. And then spaces. I was trying to think of a way so we can all see what everybody wrote at once, and then we can quietly write. So I was just going to do a Google Doc, and then I'll, if everyone just wants to go around and really quickly read what their lines are, and then they'll all be in one document.
Is everybody done? Can we have another minute or
We
two?
just did 3 lines, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm slow.
Looks
Oh
like some
yeah,
people.
yeah. I think
still-
people
Yeah,
can
we
keep
can
going. I
take
think people
that.
can keep working, and I think Clark's just gonna start to collect from the people who are done,
Okay,
and then
okay,
we'll,
sure.
Totally fine. Do you want me to go get an adapter cable so that we could plug up the Google Doc to the screen when we're done, so we can all see
If you
I
think
like
of-
that idea.
Yeah, I guess whatever's, I was trying to think of what the best way to do it is, so.
Okay.
Could you, everyone will be able to see it?
Are we dictating into it?
That could work, or you could type it, I guess, if that's easier, but it might be nice to people to read their lines too. That's both things at once. Yeah, I have well, I was looking at my phone because
Okay,
of
that works.
the text thing, but I can I have my laptop too, so I could just do double typing.
And did you s-
An Apple or it's an Apple?
Well, I have a, well, that's it. Yeah, you can just do HTML because
Okay.
that's actually great.
For a PC.
Also, I don't know if some of the late arrivals knew we were trying to keep it 10 words or less after the initial. So the earth is, and then
Yeah, like
ideally
mine are-
no more than 10 words after
Like one of
that.
mine is one word.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Science and art.
Maybe Boulder Public Library for all your high-tech stuff.
Good gig last night. Or what? Good gig last night, or was it last night?
It's talking about Friday.
Oh, Friday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty fun. And
Nice.
also, good turnout, too. It's the longest the list has ever been.
Right on.
Sorry, I missed the stand. Coming down this office finish.
That's very understanding.
Sorry.
It was pretty nice note that I love it.
All right.
Nice.
I like the years of illustrations.
Oh, it's me.
Alright, so we should write them here, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to right there, but if you want to. Oh, well, actually, it's
Hopefully, that's what I think he wants.
I'm actually just gonna. We're getting so checked out in here. I mean, this is the art and science.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, because then I'm gonna. Let's see if I have to open.
Say when?
Oh, I regret that shrinking down to 10 words.
I didn't actually count mine. It's like the communication school.
It's a long sentence. First one's a long sentence. Then I follow the rules.
You have to close out the whole thing or something.
That's the hard part of science and poetry. Maybe science has more rules, poetry does not.
I like science.
I figure rules are kind of like a game.
Yeah.
I once turned in 176 point period on a piece of paper for a college poetry class.
What'd you get on it?
I got out. Redo, please.
Would they be like, can you zoom out?
Just look at this.
That's great.
What was the type of pixel or
There was
something?
no title.
maybe I'll just write them down as people read them, because this is not really working.
Yeah, we could type them in. Too. I know that I can type mine in pretty fast. But
Okay,
Yeah.
let's just do that.
Either way.
We just read them.
Yeah, I want to hear them though. I feel like it would be nice to
Yes.
have people, because we're gonna take each other's words and write our own poems. It'd be nice to at least hear them,
Yes.
you
All
know.
right.
Okay, so let's just do them one at a time so we can kind of hear them together. So who has?
Just go around the room.
Let's go around. Yeah,
Just- Yeah.
Round the circle.
The earth is liquid, solid, rock, water, immense combinations begetting beings.
Immense combinations.
Begetting beings.
The earth is the rock that generously sucks my feet to herself.
My feet to her.
Herself.
Yona?
The earth is a spinning ball of living rock, water, and air.
The earth is the impossible unity of beauty and myriad possibility.
The earth is a blood cell in the veins of the Milky Way being eaten by cancer.
Blood cell in the veins of the Milky Way.
Being overrun by
Eaten.
cancer.
Overrun? Eaten.
Overrun.
Overrun.
I like
You said eaten.
Overrun by cancer. And then I wrote, the earth is crying, parched, dry, yearning to be heard.
The earth is a patient mother losing her cool.
Nice. Oh, I love it. That's my favorite. So cool.
The earth is twirling through the sea of stars on the back of a beautiful and benevolent space turtle that sings and dreams. There's more than 10 words, sorry.
Can you read it again?
Yeah.
The earth is spinning through, twirling. I thought I changed it.
Twirling?
Yeah, I changed it to twirling. Twirling through the sea of stars on the back of a beautiful and benevolent space turtle that sings and dreams.
Brought some Native American mythology into it.
That sings and dreams?
Yeah.
The earth is garden, water seed, spiraled implosion, by heat of sun, spin, and microbial love.
Sorry.
Water
Heat.
seed.
Water seed.
Water seed, spiraled implosion, by heat of sun, spin, and microbial
Microbial.
love.
Was it sea or seed?
Seed.
Seed.
Garden water seed. This is spiraled. Spiraled implosion by heat of sun, spin.
The earth is abstract, seen from orbit, or the moon, blue, beautiful, full of life.
Can you read that one again?
The earth is abstract, seen from orbit, or the moon, blue, beautiful, full of life. Go.
No.
We lost our connection.
We lost our connection to Earth. That's right.
Yeah.
That is a
Let me check
literal
the other
metaphor
side.
right there.
Just happened.
Yeah. Just now.
Is it Earth or is it Google Earth?
Maybe Google Earth, there's the
Okay, it's that
misconnection.
Yeah, it's a misconnection. Rebecca, do you have any tape or anything?
I actually do have to.
Yeah, let's tape it on. Should we?
Look at these brilliant scientists here. Solving problems.
Google Earth will not lead you to your lost
Building
future.
tech engineers.
Sounds a bit like the line, the revolution will not be televised.
It's a very similar thought.
I wrote a really long one, so maybe if I can just read that and then I'll read a truncated version that makes more sense. Okay. The earth is the cross they crucified Christ on. It is buckling under our greed, but it will not break. Humanity, however, will drown in the flood. Our bodies will dissolve in salt water, and the cross will float until the end of time. So, for the purposes of this, just the earth is the cross they crucified Christ on. It is buckling under our greed.
Good editing job.
Thanks.
I can just like the cross that crucified Christ on, just stop in there.
Yeah.
Well, we can
That's
always.
a powerful line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buckling, what was the second half? It's buckling,
Buckling under our greed.
right. Okay.
And I said, the earth is a leaf on a windswept beach.
Nice.
So I think what we should do, can people read this from the back?
I think
I can't.
can.
I can't.
I'm blind,
Yeah.
so.
You
Yeah, I'm
can.
totally blind.
Here, I'll
You
just,
could.
There's a way to lower
Just
them.
write it down.
I'm just gonna make it bigger
Yeah,
and
yeah.
get rid of all the spaces in between them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
So
yeah,
you've
just
got a lot
to
of
zoom in
space if
on
you
the
want to zoom in
page.
like 2 more times too from the view. Yeah, that's, you get more side space. Side space.
You should go up front.
There you go.
I just read it off.
Okay.
Because the idea that we're using each other's lines.
So there's not quite 60 of us. It's a little bit different, but maybe
So we could see this.
maybe we can just take these lines with the license to change them as much as you want, or even write new ones, and just see what inspires you. But maybe try to like just distill the essence of this, right? It's like kind of cool. It's kind of like a poetry mining. You just like ask a huge group of people what they think the earth is or what it feels like to them. And you know, when I was reading through the huge list of responses, everyone was saying the earth is home, the earth is home. I was like, wow, that's like, I mean, obvious, but also like really powerful when you read it 20 times by a bunch of like scientists and kids. And it's like, wow, yeah, the earth is home. Like, damn, that.
And none of us said it, because
Well,
we had already heard you.
Right, but
I'm
so,
trying to say something.
I guess,
first.
yeah. So I guess let's just take this
How does
and,
this
you know, you can write in your own notebook or whatever. Maybe let's do like 10 minutes. Yeah, if it leads you another direction and you want to go off on it, that's great.
Water, seed. I can't read my own handwriting sometimes. Something implosion by heat of sun, spin, and microbial love. The earth is the cross they crucified Christ on. It is a blood cell in the veins of the Milky Way, a leaf on a windswept beach. It is crying, parched, dry, yearning to be heard. The earth is a patient mother who's losing her cool. The rock that generously sucks my feet to herself. But in the end, the earth is a spinning ball of living rock, water, and air. The same ball we call home. The same ball we create or corrode like cancer. The same ball that is in charge of our own fate.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well done there.
I think the word you were looking for at one point was spiraling.
Wow, yeah, that was. Okay.
I'll go ahead and read. Patient mother, impossibly blue, impossibly floating like an ocean turtle, you hold us strong. Patient mother that suckles our feet to her breast, feeds us on microbial cocktails that keep us strong. Patient mother, a blood cell in the veins of the Milky Way, you sing and dream us strong. That's it.
Nice.
Nice. That's very positive.
Yeah, I couldn't put cancer on it.
I'll go while we're sharing. The earth is a patient liquid leaf of immensity and windswept rock losing its cool. A blood cell, a garden that sucks my feet into her crying, parched, blue, beautiful abstraction. A benevolent space turtle spinning, twirling, wearing a microbial implosion, full of crucified life, yearning to be heard, eating the seed of our greed, a mother that still sings and dreams, such an impossible unity of beauty.
Nice.
Her combinations beget rock beings, sucked to herself by impossible generosity, sure-footed beauty, confusions of possibility, implosive yearnings, crying in the sea of stars, spinning hate by crucifixions, our greed, a leaf on the windswept beach. Cancer is still cellular, impossible unity, by patient mother planting water seeds while dreaming.
That's nice.
The earth is patient twirling of liquid, solid, rock, water. Earth is being eaten by cancer, buckling under our greed, yearning to be heard. The benevolent beauty still full of life, and the microbial love between blood cells in our generous garden. A leaf being orbits the moon, then implodes in the Milky Way.
Oh yeah.
I'll go. The earth is a patient mother, losing her cool, buckling under our cancer, twirling through the sea of stars, a leaf on a windswept beach, parched, crying, the impossible unity of beauty, home, liquid, solid, rock, water, abstract, a blood cell in the veins of the Milky Way, she dreams, overrun by cancer, by heat of sun, spin, and microbial lava, yearning to be heard, she generously sucks my feet to herself, a patient mother, patient, she.
Terra firma. Liquid, solid, rock, water, immense combinations begetting the rock that generously sucks my feet to herself. Abstract, seen from orbit by the moon, blue, beautiful, full of life. A blood cell in the veins, a patient, mother losing her cool, twirling through the sea of stars on the back of a beautiful and benevolent space turtle that sings and dreams. Implosion by heat of sun, spin and microbial love. Crying, parched, dry, yearning to be heard. The cross they crucified Christ on, or a spinning ball of living rock, water, and air. Garden, water the seed into the impossible unity of beauty and myriad possibility. The Milky Way buckling under our greed, a leaf on a windswept beach.
Everybody's remixes.
Yeah, you want
O'er the moon, blue beautiful, abstract, seen from orbit. Through the sea of stars, twirling on the back of beautiful. In the veins of the Milky Way, cell being eaten, yearning to be heard. Mother losing, patient cool. Unity of beauty, impossible or myriad possibility. Living rock water and spinning ball of air. generously sucks my feet to the rock. Immense combinations.
That is cool. So different.
Trying to do like a little.
I tried to take the I looked at all the verbs, and then I tried to look at some of the adjectives, I think, and then the nouns, and then I just tried to jam them together. Rock begetting rock, water sucking water, rock spinning rock, rock living rock, water crying water, air yearning air, stars losing stars, turtle twirling turtle, garden singing garden, sun dreaming sun, moon imploding moon, leaf loving leaf, generous, patient, benevolent.
Yeah.
Way to take a scientific approach.
I have a short one. I basically just kind of skipped through the words, spun with it, or grabbed whatever seemed to work. Abstract, immense combinations of rock and water, generously spinning, impossible beauty. Twirling mother, yearning, benevolent, spiraled implosion. Seen from the moon, buckling from greed on a windswept beach.
How are we doing on time? Are we going to want to do a break or?
Yeah, well, I know that there's a few people here who said that they needed to leave at a certain time, and I know it was sometime before 4. So I'm thinking maybe if we are feeling up for it, we could power through until those people need to leave, and then maybe that'll be the natural break. Is when. Okay, so yeah, maybe now makes a good time then.
Yeah.
All right, do you have any closing words, partial closing words for the people who are leaving now, and then we'll kind of keep going with the rest.
Yeah, it was really, these were awesome poems, and yeah, it's sort of like stream of consciousness, except like
group.
ocean of consciousness, right? It's like it's not just your own stream of thoughts, you have all of everyone else's like words that they came up with, and you can kind of just move through it in whatever way feels right. And so when we come back, I want people to come up with their own prompts. And so we'll each have, it could be, maybe we'll just do one for the sake of time and be like, the space is, or love is, right? Or whatever you want it to be, but just a single line prompt. And then we'll pass them around, and then you'll have your own like data set to compose a poem based on whatever you're interested in. So that's
That
idea.
sounds fun.
Yeah.
I wish I could stay.
Well, you have some homework. You have some poet work.
Well, the real next level of this is to just give it to everybody out. In the library. I'd love to do that.
Oh, random.
Yeah.
Right? The poets are becoming investigators.
Yeah.
So what is the Earth?
Instigator.
And instigators.
Investigators.
Instigators.
The sparks.
Thank you so much for coming. It means so much to have you two here today.
Oh, really?
That was good.
Yeah, it's been great. So, quick question. That people are talking about the stand, and that's on Fridays. Is it every Friday?
Second Friday.
Second Fridays, yeah. Joshua is the one who organizes that, and also Nico has been working with Joshua in the Riverside and the coffee stand to try to get one every week. So poets are holding down the fort there every Friday, offering something.
And poet adjacent. And
poet adjacent events, because we all want to be at the firehouse for all of those, and so we want to maybe try to make that not a poetry night. Maybe recruit on board.
We're trying to manage that. We're
I'm gonna
talking
have
to
to.
them.
Yeah, because we love that one so much, so we want to make sure that
The only
people
way I
can
could
vote.
come to that is if I could
We
stay
don't want to
overnight
mess
at
up what they have.
wherever the overnight thing is.
Yeah. Oh, Martins, you could.
That's really,
Yeah.